All right, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Matthew, the marketer slash model. That's what's up. How you doing?
Doing fantastic, bro.
Awesome, brother. So first question for you, how much money are you making from your info product agency right now?
Around 30K a month in profit, not some dropshipping store. Yeah, give or take like maybe like a couple grand more or
Mm,
less each month, but hovering around the 30K a month mark right now.
awesome. And so I want to go into your story a bit. I know you had experience in the agency space. Like we kind of got into this stuff
Yeah,
around this
exactly.
time and we're doing the SOMA thing. And then, one thing leads to another and all roads lead to info.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so take me through like your story from your first agency. I remember a while ago, I think that was an ecom,
Yep.
now ending up in the info space and scaling the way you have.
Yeah, okay. So some background on myself. I started my first agency in 2020, right before COVID started, so it was like kind of perfect timing. Um, I was in college at Georgia Tech. Uh, gonna be like a consultant or banker. That was like my lifelong goal, I guess. Not like my middle school, high school goal. And then I kind of realized like, oh wait, they don't make that much money for the amount of effort and work they put in. So it's not really like highly leveraged. So I was just literally like had a job offer from a prestigious consulting firm in quotes. And I realized like I grinded so long to do something that I didn't fundamentally want to do. Um, and I was looking for like any way out, by the way. So that's when I met my old business partner, Kendall Shaw. Can you hear okay, by the way?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And he was my first person where I was like, okay, he had a successful, like another agency with some business partners in Tampa. He came to Atlanta. We linked up and he was like, oh, wait, you're actually pretty smart. And so I came on as COO of his e-commerce agency, mainly handling like sales and operations. And yeah, and he was mainly like client fulfillment because I didn't really know how to run e-com ads, to be honest. And
Mhm.
so we joined a dude named Joel Kaplan's group, who's actually a client of mine now, joined his mastermind and we built a huge team and scaled to like 130K a month in like 8 months. But the thing is with the agency, you have to hire labor and like people to fulfill the demand you sold, at least for our model. Because with ecom, it's not like local lead gen for basketball trainers where it's like the same thing for all your clients. Like every
Right.
single client was something new. Um, and so I kind of got to the point where I realized like, okay, I have this agency. Let me just do it for myself. And I own 100% of the business. And so I left, and then I just decided to start a mortgage marketing agency, because interest rates were ridiculously low, and like anybody wanted to refinance their house. So I was like, this is a hot as fuck market. And literally with just cold email, some LinkedIn, and a little bit of ads, I was able to hit like 40K a month in rev, about like the same 30K a month in profit. And I was like, oh, I'm a genius. Like my ego was much higher back then. And one of the best things in the world happened to me. I lost all my clients when interest rates shot up. And I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Because I attributed my success to myself, which obviously I should, but there were outside forces like the money glitch that is America, printing money, made it super easy to get client results back then. And so I realized I knew how to do the skill of client acquisition, and I was good at that. So then I just started consulting for other agencies and service businesses, just kind of running their ads, building cold email processes. So like niches like dental, Cairo, private injury. I would build out like client acquisitions for them. And then I kind of realized most agencies, they're the same issue I had with my first agency is the bottleneck is the labor, not the sales. And so that's when I started transitioning to working with, after honestly seeing you transition to info and crushing it. Um, I was like, dude, Ben's crushing it. That's fucking great. Let me just learn from what he's doing subconsciously. I was like, okay, let me transition to info. And it was a much better experience. Mainly because for most of my clients that I work with, they're either like pushing a really good offer to cold traffic or they have a organic presence. So when you have stuff like that, it's much easier to make a sale and it scales way better because like one client success manager can handle a decent amount of clients. So
Right.
that's kind of
Right.
how I've gotten here.
Like, because that business is so lean, it not only helps the business owner, but it helps service providers be able to charge more because there's more margin, there's more room to play with.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then you can come in and get a rev share.
Yeah,
So
and
go
for
ahead.
all the agency owners who are like watching this, which might be a decent amount of you, an agency only makes sense if you're like fucking Eddie Maloof and you want to exit for like 3, 5, 8x multiple on your business. But most of these agencies, even the people who tell you, "Oh, I sold my agency," they fucking fire sold that shit. Because unless it's like an agency with like really dialed in processes, like a big team, it's very hard to sell those businesses. And
Right.
so, like, if you want to just make a bunch of cash, which is like what most people get an agency for, is just cash flow. Info's like superior in my opinion.
Totally agree. How'd you go about getting your first handful of info clients once
Free
you
work. So literally just doing like free work for certain people, just being like, yo, dude, I saw this was like messed up in your funnel. I fixed it. And that's how I got my first couple of clients. And then I did that for that client I told you about, well, the guy whose coaching program I told you about, Joel Kaplan. And when I joined his mastermind, I was the youngest person in his mastermind. So he kind of like was like, oh, he's always like poaching people for talent, basically. And
Yep.
so I worked with him, and then using that case study, I was able to land like bigger clients like Charlie Morgan and other people like Liam Otley and like bigger names, because I had like proof of like, oh, I'm crushing it for another, like basically they're like similar niche. And
Yep.
then once I was able to get, I guess, like proof of competence and being able to borrow other people's credibility, it's become way easier for me to sign clients now.
Totally. And what like how'd your pitch look? What services are you doing for them now? How's the fulfillment side of it look?
So it's either email, um, email flows like welcome sequences, stuff like that. Copy on just like social posts, like that they kind of remove to other stuff. Uh, I do write some of my clients, like I have written like YouTube scripts and stuff for them as well.
Mhm.
And then for some of my other clients that are running paid ads, I'll script out their ads, I'll run their ads, and kind of handle that whole process. It's just some of my clients already work with media buying agencies and stuff. So I kind of just go in and just try and be like, where can I just plug in my skills to make money and then cross sell other stuff, if that makes any sense.
That's exactly the way to do it, bro. Like you
Yeah.
find the gap, you get in, you prove that you're competent, you earn their trust, and then you start to fill in other gaps. And then eventually
Yeah.
that's how you end up in a position where you have a good rev share and you can make 20, 30, 50K a month from one client.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, that's awesome. So with the clients you're working now, what does your typical deal structure look like? How do you pitch a flat retainer? Do you pitch rev share? What's that look like?
If they're already pretty big, I'll just go for like a sizable retainer around like 5K a month mark. And if it's like a smaller creator where I can like directly attribute my revenue to something, then I'll just take like a smaller retainer, like 3 to 5K a month still. And then I'll also do a performance fee on revenue attributed through whatever I do. So if I'm running their ads to a call funnel and the emails, it'll just be like UTM tracking on whatever like calls and sales are generated from my like efforts.
Got it. Would you say your best skill is copywriting, or what do you think has allowed you to like kind of fit into different businesses and be able to be somewhat of like a jack of all trades in this space?
I'm gonna take like 2 seconds to think about that. I think my best skill is kind of just identifying gaps. Is the sound bad by the way?
You're good.
Okay, cool. So it's just figuring out and identifying the gaps that they have in their business before they kind of even seeing it, and just proactively just like selling them extra shit. Where I'm just like, yo, this is wrong. We're not wrong, but like this could be done better. This could be done better. And it's not like me saying like, oh, this could be done better. Pay me and I'll do it. I'll literally just do it and be like, yo, I did this. And they're
Yeah,
like, if you want me to continue doing it, they'll be like, okay, we'll pay you some extra money. And so
exactly.
it's just genuinely showing that like you have the ability to think and you understand the business fully, and just like proactively doing stuff. Because like if they even have to think like, oh, this is an issue and all that stuff, that's like complexity that I'm eating from them. So it's
Right.
like the easier I can make their life, the better. To where
Right.
it's like, for example, like my client, like Charlie, like I just told him like, dude, your emails are kind of like not the best right now. Let's build out this new strategy or whatever. And then I just like literally wrote him like a 20-page Google Doc like welcome sequence. And I was like, yo, implement this. And it wasn't me like trying to like cross sell him like, yo, dude, give me some extra money. It's just like genuinely like trying to help people.
Yeah.
And if they want to compensate me in return, it's perfectly fine. Like even if they were to like, oh, thanks, and they didn't pay me anything extra, I'd still be fine with it. Cause like
Right.
People can tell if you're like genuinely trying to help them, or if it's like, is he just trying to get some money out of me or whatever? Like, I just think my biggest skill is coming off as genuine when I'm selling, because it's like I'm coming from a perspective of like actually trying to help. And yeah.
Right. You like kind of put yourself on the same team as them. Like
Mhm.
you and me trying to solve this problem and make you more money. It's not,
Yeah,
oh, I'm begging you for a retainer. I'm begging you for a rev share so I can do this thing for you. It's more of like a partner consultant type of role.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Next question for you. So far, what do you think, I guess, as far as scaling, what would be the next elements that you think you need to start doing to get to 50 and eventually 100K a month with your business?
There's two things that I think I'd do. One is primarily selling like a mechanism where I control the entire thing. So I'm leaning towards like webinars and challenges.
Yeah,
Call funnels are great, but if you can do a sales funnel that doesn't have a sales team, that commission can now go to me. If that makes any sense.
yeah,
So I've seen webinars like you crush with them. I've seen challenges crush. So my mentality now is like, if I'm fine with the number of clients I have now. I'd rather, if I'm going to take on any more done for you clients, I want to take on like people where I'm like, okay, this could be a 10, 20K a month contract. Um, and so for the done for you side of my agency, that's that. And then I kind of want to build like a hybrid consultancy where I have like a done for you service where I actually have a cutoff of like, you must meet this criteria to work with me. And like, I'm not fighting over like a fucking fitness coach doing 10K a month or whatever.
right.
And then downsell consulting or coaching or like one-on-one access to me or something like that. Because that's really scalable. So it's the mix between like having a boutique done for you, high touch agency for like 5 to 10 clients that like I know I can murder for, and then
Yeah,
everybody else can go to a higher leverage deliverable.
yeah. That's the way to do it, bro. Like in my business, our best months have been when I've had 5 to 7 solid clients. And
Yeah,
still the majority of the revenue, or not majority, but I'd say 30 to 40% would come from one really solid client. Like that's really all it takes is you're in a position where you're totally skilled and competent enough to have a client that pays you 50K in a month.
yeah, exactly.
Just a matter of like identifying that opportunity and then getting your foot in the door. And that could even be with one of your current clients and like a new mechanism that you would build for them that ends up helping them scale further.
Exactly.
But that's exactly the way that I've done it. And like that sweet spot is between 5 and 10 clients. And I'd say even probably closer to 5 to 7 of like really solid ones. And that doesn't mean you
It's
can't
like
take,
trimming the fat, basically.
yeah. And like eventually once you get to a point where you're you want to take on more deals, like you can take on a $3,500 a month email retainer and have a copywriter do that for you.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of this as well. Like I've removed myself from pretty much all the fulfillment inside
Nice.
of my agency. So now it's like, okay, if we want to take on a little deal, I'm totally fine with that because that's no more work on my plate.
Yeah, and
Uh,
now you can focus on like high leverage tasks like taking over Miami TikTok. Like
exactly. Of course. Um, okay, last two things for you. First, what is the main benefit you feel like you've gotten out of Artisan Lab?
I think it's seeing your internal thought process on how you view like copywriting, all that type of stuff, but deal structure and how you're basically able to go in and pitch these like mechanisms that you own for like a higher rev share. And so that's the main benefit that I've seen. The community's been fucking fantastic. The group speakers are always really good. So honestly, the main thing that I kind of like, even if like Ben, you bought the program and like it was blank, just the community and stuff, I feel like you could get value from just connecting with everybody else there. And just my mentality is just try and be as helpful to everybody in the group as possible. And the universe will conspire for my success if I just like am genuinely trying to help as many people as possible. And so the community is like great. The course material is really, really great. The webinar funnel that you broke down in the course is like literally what I use to learn how to run webinars and stuff. So yeah, like everything's been really solid.
You're awesome. I fucking love it, man. Thank you. And that is such a big element of the community aspect.
Yeah.
Like, and what you said about just connecting with people and like that's how I've met a lot of my closest friends was
Yep.
through little communities like that, and
Bro,
people.
fucking Maxi, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Like that's crazy how it really works
Yeah,
that
and
way.
so for anybody watching this, if you do like, well, you have a probably a higher IQ audience than most because you talk about like personal development stuff. Don't be one of those people who joins a coaching program, doesn't say anything, and like is like, oh no, it's you. The information, everything is fucking fantastic, but it's actually connecting with the people because the people in the group is like on the coaching programs I've been in, it's like higher level quality of the people who are inside there. So it's
Yeah,
like you have the opportunity to connect with like the person you're talking to might be like a fucking killer doing like a mil a year or 2 mil a year in the next like 3 to 6 months. So it's just like you can meet other people, provide value to each other, grow together, and the community, the course, everything's great. But it's just like you got to take action as well. So that's one of the things that I tried to do when I was in the group. I've been trying to like if I'm like writing out a banger email flow or something like that, I'm like, okay, other people could learn from this. Let me just help out, stuff like that.
totally, bro. And that's a good point as well. Like you a lot of it is accountability.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, everybody knows the couple things that they need to do every single day to move the needle. It's going to be probably outreach and fulfillment. Like as long as you're doing those two things, you are progressing in some way, but it can be hard when you're alone, especially when you
Yeah.
don't have any type of community, when you don't have the external accountability that like really helps push you. And then also, like you said, like seeing somebody the way that they think about a deal structure. That's what I've gotten from Jeremy Haynes as well.
Mhm.
It's like hearing the way he talks about his business and his client relationships and scaling these info businesses to a mil a month, like just being able to kind of get a glimpse into that paradigm helps pull you into it.
Yeah. You
And
just kind of like learn through osmosis of just being around these people.
exactly,
And
exactly.
I
That's the
guess one of the main other benefits of going joining coaching programs is I think a lot of people when they go from their previous identity of let's just call it frat bro who hates his life and is like, okay, I want something more. You probably are not at the level enough yet where you can attract the friends you do want, but you've outgrown your old friends. And so I think joining a coaching program is the perfect gap because it gives you that you're surrounding yourself with people who are like at that level as well, but a bunch of other people who are on that same journey of okay, let's just level up to where like in 3 6 months now all the opportunities are coming to us because we did the work to like develop ourselves, if that makes any sense.
totally, totally, bro. Awesome. Last one I have for you, brother. If you could give Sean from 3 years ago one piece of advice, what would it be?
Comparison is fine as long as it doesn't come with judgment on yourself, if that makes any sense. Because, dude, like I've seen you, Ben, like, well, you, Mason, people like Luke, like just fucking crushing online. And honestly, it inspires the fuck out of me. Like, to be honest, because I do see a lot of people who get salty or they're like, oh, they're doing something wrong. But like, it just shows me what's possible.
Yep.
But something more actionable would probably be like, oh, start making TikTok content or something like that. But I'm talking about like I can't go back and do that, or like that's like an opportunity in time. But like the biggest thing is just dialing in what's going on between my ears and basically allowing myself to be more mentally resilient. Because that's what I think, like in the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, when I had my business where I was like making more than a doctor, losing it all a couple of months later, the money I did have was in crypto. So it's okay. We made it all back. And so I was just like basically like that volatility that comes with like self-worth, it shouldn't, in my opinion, shouldn't be attached to the outcomes I get. It should be attached to just the input I do, me genuinely trying to help people, and it'll catch up and I'll make the money. Like it doesn't have to be like tomorrow. It could
Totally.
be, but like it's more about like understanding that I'm on a certain journey and like literally seeing you go from basketball training marketing agency to like the king of Miami. It I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh, what the fuck is this guy? Like it's crazy or whatever. And they'd like try and demonize you to make themselves feel better. But I
Yeah,
kind of try and do the opposite where I'm like, dude, let me learn from this dude, learn what he's doing and implement in my own life. And it's benefited me a ton. So yeah.
totally. Thank you, bro. And that's exactly the right mindset to have. Like I also understand, you know, I've got friends that are making more money than me right now, and I'm happy for them, and I
Yes,
understand they're
exactly.
on a different timeline.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not like the meme where it's like the smiling face with the crying behind it. It's like genuine happiness for these people.
right, because it shows you that like that is possible, one, and two, you also understand that like just because you're not making 500 grand a month right
Mhm.
now doesn't mean that like eventually the right opportunity will meet the right vehicle and your income can go from 100 to 500 a month. Like
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
happened for most people that I've seen get to those types of numbers. It's like a month, like one singular or two singular decisions ends up being that difference between 100 and 500, or even, you know, 10K to 50K a month. Like
Yep.
it's just a couple elements that end up aligning, and then that's when you have that like overnight success that really wasn't overnight, but it
Yeah,
might.
exactly.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this, brother. Where can people connect with you online if they want to follow your journey?
Shoot me a follow on Instagram and Twitter, Sean SeanJMathew. And hopefully by the time this is out, I'm a grind on YouTube and put some more YouTube content out as well. So
Awesome.
Sean Matthew on YouTube.
Don't let your girl follow him though, by the way. Any boys watching this, just don't let your girl follow for obvious reasons. All
Thanks,
right. Thank you, brother. Peace,
man.
guys. Go to the description, join Artisan Lab, or be poor and sad and ugly forever. You don't want to do that. Go
Yeah,
join.
exactly.
Stop. Join
Exactly.
fucking Artisan Lab.